Hi there, Sandra here from createinspain. Now today I've decided to make a project which is part of the Canon Creative Park. And this particular one is a three-dimensional tree with various decorations. These are the sheets as they are printed off. There are 3 pages for the tree itself. There is a base piece, a couple of stars at the top of the tree, and various decorations for the tree and its surrounding. Now, some of these are pretty obvious and some are not quite so obvious. This, for example, is supposed to be tinsel. I am not planning on cutting this bit out, or at least if it cuts it out, I'm not planning on using it. I have another alternative idea for that. But there are things like boxes to be cut out for decoration and all these bits of candy canes and bows and bells and things like that. All these sorts of things. I've printed them off, some of which I may well cut them out, but I may not use them all. If you go to the Canon site and go to the Creative Park, you will find I have linked the relevant detail below. You will find you have 2 files to download. One is for the pieces and there is another sheet for the instructions. What I'm going to do with this is I'm going to send it to my scan and cut, because in theory this is the kind of project that the scan and cut should do really well. I'm not going to be using the machine to do my score lines. I can do those by hand, that's not really a problem. But it's going to cut out all the pieces for me, and because these are printed without a printer's bleed, this should be an awful lot easier than the more complicated models that I did earlier in the year. And if I remember, I'll leave a link to some of those down below as well. Once you have all the trees cut out, you need to do the scoring. So there is a score line that goes down the centre of the tree and the trunk, and then the smaller score lines which go in this direction and allow you to glue the tree onto the base eventually. So the easiest way of doing a score and fold for this is to take a ruler, and I'll take one I haven't done here, put it right against that line and put a bone folder underneath the main part and press it up against the ruler. Because that is a solid edge, it makes it a lot easier to get a really good fold in place. These are stuck back to back. Once you have stuck 3 of them together, so you have one flat like that, you have the other 2 stuck on like that. After you've got that, you glue these 2 stars together, and those go between the 2 layers of the tree. So here we have 3 of the tree pieces glued together. This piece is going to be the centre. I've put the 2 stars together. So I have my 2 halves of the tree, and then I have to stick those together. And then you have the full tree, and it can be opened out and then stuck onto the base, which is this piece here, and you've got the area where it's supposed to be glued on. To use this template to stick the tree down onto the base. Now that I've got my tree done, I looked online, and there's a great site where you can get patterns which you can customize for creating boxes of all sorts of different shapes. I will link it down below because it's a fantastic site and really useful. And what I did was I downloaded the SVG for this particular box, and then I simply put the SVG through shortcut slots so I could alter the dashed lines to make them solid lines to create my score lines, because I use a scoring tool and not the blade to make my lines, and I cut it on my scan and cut. So this is a narrow 1 centimetre deep 10 by 10 box, and what I want is to have the box so that the opening is going to be underneath, right, and the top of the box is going to be where this is stuck. I'm just going to get a hole punch so that my hole can go there. And if I put this back where it's supposed to go, roughly in the centre there, okie doke, I can mark my hole. There we go. So I can put my rivet through here and then put my rivet through the other hole, and I will be able to stick my box together and have that rivet so that when my wires come through, it's not rubbing against the card and creating friction and maybe ruining things. Make sure I don't get my sweater in it. And line up that hole. And squeeze. And there we are. I have a nice neat hole through there that my wires can go through. So my battery pack will go in there, and then I can just put that like that. And this is just going to stand up and the wires will come out through there. If you're using one of these battery packs, you can remove the batteries and replace them, but you need to make sure that you know which bit is the top and which is the bottom. Now that bit is the top, which you have to open up to change the battery. So you want to make sure that if you're sticking this inside, you put double sided tape on the opposite side. And then you can take the end of it. Now I may or may not, and I don't remember if I may have taken off a few lights from this before. Doesn't make any difference. You just take your wires and put it through the hole. Now this is where that metal eyelet or rivet, whatever you like to call it, comes in handy, because it protects the card when I'm pulling this through. So that's where that ends up, and I'm just going to take a piece of normal sticky tape and stick that down in there. To keep it in place. Wind as many or as few lights around here as you like. Snip the wires after the last one. Now you can use these in individual forms. You can take each light off and use them in cards if you want to do that. I have my lights on. You can't see them too well in daylight, not on camera. I can see them very well here. I've got purple looking lights on here, which is very, very pretty. Here's my finished Christmas tree. I've added a few little sparkly gems inside the tree itself. I have got my lights lit up. I'm very pleased with this. As I said, I did not design this myself, but I've added my own little twist to it without actually altering the file. The file is as was. The only thing I've done is added a box underneath for a battery and put some string lights on. And obviously I've just put my little gems and stars and things like that on there. But you could do it without adding these extras, or you could use all the various pieces, and there are lots and lots of them. If I move this to one side, you'll get to see what's in the file to put on the tree, and you don't have to do what I've done. I just decided to go a bit OTT. The other thing that I might do with this Christmas tree is add some glue and some fake snow. I've got plenty of it going spare, and I think that would really give it a finishing touch around the base. But I'm pleased with the way that has turned out, and I think the design is great. I will see you again soon. Take care now.